I think once you start being a hybrid athlete, you will never be bored with being an athlete again. And if you watch this video, you might consider starting your own hybrid journey yourself. But first, why shouldn't you be a hybrid athlete? Well, if your goal is to become as good as possible in a single sports, let's say cycling, being a hybrid athlete might hinder you. Let's say you want to combine cycling with what I do, fitness, jiu-jitsu, or powerlifting. This requires you to put on some weight and some muscles. As a hybrid athlete, that's probably something you want to, but as a cyclist, that might be too much for you, and this will ultimately slow you down if you just want to be a pure cyclist. So whenever the goal is to be as good as possible in one single sports, yes, you gotta be honest, the hybrid approach is not what will get you there. But come on guys, let's face it. Probably most of you watching this video won't be professional athletes. I do sports on a daily basis, but I will never be a professional athlete. I'm just not good enough, to be honest. And I guess that's the same situation for a lot of you out there watching this video. You're really passionate about being an athlete, but you probably won't make it to be a professional one. So this gives us more freedom. We don't have to focus on just being a cyclist. We can do much more with our life and with our athletic journey. And that's why the first thing which is really beneficial about being a hybrid athlete is the variety. You will never be bored again. You don't just have to stick to cycling. You can also include running, you can include bodybuilding, powerlifting, triathlon, you can include BJJ like I do myself. So it's just so much variety, and yes, there are so many different options out there, so you will definitely never be bored with finding a goal which really inspires you to go after anymore. And I think for a lot of us, it's really important to have something to train for. And when we have accomplished the same goal again and again, it just doesn't inspire us anymore. This variety also comes in very handy if you're injured. I, for example, tore my ACL. I also had cartilage damage. So that was the end for me with fighting for a really, really long time. There was no jiu-jitsu tournament in for, let's say, at least a year. And that meant I had to search for different goals. And that's when I really discovered the hybrid athlete way of doing sports. Well, after a few weeks, I could do cycling and I could really push myself on the bike. So I could start also doing races on Zwift. Then I could start swimming. I could start running. So the triathlon journey was also something. But I also wanted to lift weights. So if you have an injury, there is definitely something else you can do in almost every case. So the benefit of being a hybrid athlete is that you can always find something to train for, even when you're injured. And it's not only for when you're injured, also prevention plays a major role. If you do one sport again and again and again, that's really repetitive. But when you are a hybrid athlete, you change things up. You don't overuse your joints and ligaments, and you don't get injured as fast as if someone just does the same repetitive movement again and again. But also your performance might increase despite the variety in the other sport. That might not be the case for the cyclist who's maybe a bit too heavy now, but for example in youth sports, here in Germany, even if you are in a professional football club, as a youth athlete, you have to do a second sports, at least at the professional clubs where I live. they make their athletes, let's say, yeah, from the ages of I think 10 to 15, play in a different sport. So in Germany, it's quite common, for example, to combine football with handball, and it's not the same sport, but they are transfer effect which make you better in your main sport, but also, of course, in the other sport. Another point is, if we are honest, we all want to look good. And for me personally, for example, I really admire cyclists. I also think they are doing so much hard stuff and they have to push themselves so hard, but I just don't want to look like a professional cyclist. And if you consider yourself a hybrid athlete and if you do the hybrid athlete training approach, if you start lifting weights next to being a cyclist, for example, you definitely won't have the typical very, very thin cyclist body type. And for me personally, of course, it's taste, but for me, it just looks better and I feel better if I also have a bit more muscles than, let's say, the stereotypical cyclist out there. That's just me, but I guess for a lot of you out there here watching videos on YouTube, watching videos of hybrid athletes, you feel the same. You don't want to look like the endurance athlete, let's say cyclist or a marathon runner who is very, very slim, which of course gives them an advantage in their sport, but you're turned off by it, you don't want to look like that, and then you say, oh, okay, that sport is not for me. But hey, as a hybrid athlete, you can combine your bodybuilding with endurance, and you definitely won't look like the marathon runner if you lift weights and if you eat enough calories. And also, that's a topic for another video, the interference effect. Yes, it plays a role, but if you time your training right and if you follow the right program, it doesn't really make you that much worse in either running or lifting. You probably want to look good and move well, and as a hybrid athlete, you can have both. You can look pretty aesthetic, have some muscles, but you can also perform in endurance events. And then the last point is confidence for me. I think if you manage to go out of your comfort zone, let's say you are just the stereotypical gym goer. You lift weights quite a lot, you do maybe some bodybuilding, you train your bro splits, and then someone asks you to run a 5K. You will say, well, cardio is killing my gains and I won't survive running a 5K. Which is probably true at that point. You won't be able to run a 5K. But if someone tells you, hey bro, you can keep your gains and still perform fairly good in a 5K, that would probably change a lot for you. And then if you start training, going out for a run, increasing the volume slowly, and then maybe after a couple of months or weeks, you are still lifting weights, you still look good in the gym, and if someone asks you to run a 5K, oh well, all of a sudden, after a couple of weeks of training, you are able to do it. And your performance in the gym isn't as bad as you thought. And guess what? Your muscles are still there. That will increase your confidence because you have just expanded your comfort zone. You have tried something new and you found out, well, it is possible. I can do it. And that transfers to different things in life. And I guess this boost in confidence is also really, really important and something we can all achieve as a hybrid athlete because we have to expand our comfort zones quite a lot because of all the new stuff we are trying. And that really boosts our confidence again and again. And of course, it won't be a perfect journey. You will probably, if you're like really stupid about your training, get injured running too much in the beginning. But if you train smart or stick to it, show some grit, you will find out it is possible. You can lift weights, you can look really good in the gym, and you can still do endurance stuff. Or you can still be a BJJ competitor even, and hey, you can run, you can lift weights, it's all possible, and this will boost your confidence. So guys, don't let anyone tell you it is not possible to approach your training in a hybrid way. You can train for different things at the same time. You will have a lot of fun on this journey with combining different goals from the endurance world, from the strength world, bodybuilding, fighting, whatever. You can create your own hybrid journey. You can pick from whatever sports inspires you and whatever you want to pursue. And then you will have the most fun as an athlete, and I guess then it never will get boring for you, because sports is so important, if you're watching this, probably for your mental health and for our health, of course, in general. And I think it's just really, really important that we can stick to doing sports for our whole life. And if the sports you've done your whole life isn't possible anymore, or you overused your body, that's really, really bad, not only for you physically, but probably also for you mentally. That's why you should adopt the hybrid training approach maybe a bit earlier. So when the injury is coming, you still have something else to train. Or when one sport isn't possible anymore, maybe because of severe injuries, hey, you still have different training goals, and you've probably already built up some capacity for different events. And let me know in the comments what are sports you are thinking about pursuing at the same time, what you think about hybrid training in general, and if you want to follow me on my journey as a pretty average athlete who just tries their best to become better in different sports, follow this YouTube channel and let me know what you're interested in when it comes to hybrid training, and I see you in the next video.